Hello everyone, very good evening and welcome to StudyIQ IAS. So I hope that finally we are connected and the session is live because there was some technical trouble initially and that's why the session has got delayed by a little bit of time. But I hope that everything is fine right now and you are all able to listen to my voice as well as you are all able to watch the video properly. So in today's lecture, we are going to talk about the Gupta age second part, in which, as I had mentioned in the previous lecture yesterday, that today we will be discussing about the political discourse. And let us start the session without any further delay. And first of all, before proceeding, let me tell you a very important information that our new batches are going to start from the 11th of August. These are the morning batches where you will be getting the one-stop solution for all your requirements to ace the Civil Services 2024 examination. And these batches are quite flexible as far as the medium of instruction is concerned because they are available in English and Hindi, all the three media. Now talking about other aspects of this batch, let me tell you that this batch will be providing the great opportunity to learn because it will be having all the required things like GS preparation will be done, the current affairs coverage will be provided, dedicated books will be given for the UPSC examination published from the StudyIQ only. And here, apart from these things, you will also get a special mentorship for solving all your troubles or your problems. And in case if you are able to clear the prelims examination, let me tell you that you will be called here at the StudyIQ campus in Gurgaon, and your entire mains preparation will be taken care by StudyIQ at its own cost. So you don't have to pay anything extra for that. But all these things that is going to be available on this very meager charges of rupees 29,999 only if you are using my code ASR Live. Now let's get started. And first of all, we will be talking about the first ruler, the first ruler of this dynasty. The question arises that when we discuss the political beginnings of the Gupta age, so where should we start exactly? Should we start from the Shri Gupta or should we go directly to the Chandragupta first? Because when we talk about the political beginnings, we get a description about the Gupta era, All right, everyone. This Gupta era is famous. Gupta era that is famous to be started from around 319 or 320 AD. Okay. So this will be probably the beginning of a new era. When the Chandragupta first will be starting or beginning his rule. However, when we talk about the earliest rulers, let me tell you that there are two more rulers before Chandragupta first, earlier than Chandragupta first, and you can see here Shri Gupta and Ghatotkacha. Both of them are having the title of just Maharaj, which did not indicate the sovereignty, did not indicate their independent, their sovereign status. All right, everyone. So we can say that probably there might be some other rulers prior to Chandragupta first, but they might not be having the independent or sovereign status, and this would be beginning only with the rule of Chandragupta first, who will be adopting the title of Maharaja Dhiraj. Okay, Maharaja Dhiraj title that is indicative of the independent status, the indicative of the sovereign kingdom and its establishment. And in the previous lecture yesterday, I also told you about the pompous titles, about the huge sounding titles of the Gupta rulers, which would be an essential exercise to indicate that they have some divine connection they have some higher position than the rest of their counterparts, rest of their contemporary rulers. The example is right in front of you. You can see here in the table that Samudragupta, the son of Maharaja Dhiraj Chandragupta I, he became the first ruler probably to adopt as many titles as given here. In fact, there are probably more than that. Kaviraj, this title is mentioned in the Prayag Prashasti. Ashwamedh Parakram and Vikram. Ashwamedh Parakram and Vikram. So these type of titles, right, there should be a W. I am sorry for that. Okay, so in quick typing sometimes it happens. Very good evening Aisha, good evening Sarvendra, good evening Bulbul. Good evening to everybody, those who have joined the session live in front of me. Now, here, Ashwamedh Parakram and Vikram. Apart from that, Param Bhagavat, this title is mentioned in the Nalanda copper plate inscription. Ashwamedh Parakram Vikram, that is displayed and minted on coin, on the gold coin. Then there is another title called Sarvarajotcheta. Sarvarajotcheta, which indicates the uprooter of all the rulers, the one who has defeated every king. Sarvarajotcheta. This title is having the mention on the coins of Samudragupta. And apart from that, the Allahabad pillar inscription, the very famous Allahabad pillar inscription, which is describing the achievements and the victories of Samudragupta, and that description is actually written by Hari Sen, the minister of Samudragupta, and on the same pillar, that was basically the Kaushambi pillar, which was installed by Ashoka as a minor queen's edict or a minor pillar edict. Right? I hope you remember these things. Good evening Paras, good evening Amit, Jai Hind, welcome to the class. Now here, Allahabad pillar inscription provides an information about a title that is not heard very often. This title is not very famous. Which is this title? Dharma Prachar Bandhu. Okay. Dharma Prachar Bandhu means the person who is indulged into the upholding of the dharma. And remember, the meaning of dharma here, it is not any specific religion, but it was the set of assigned duties, to the king under the Brahmanical Shastras. Remember that in the Gupta period, as I had told you about the changing nature of the state in the previous lecture, so I had described that how would the nature of this empire be determined by the mentions given in the Shastras or the law books, because these kingdoms which would be run by the Gupta rulers, they would be basically trying to implement the Brahmanical order so that their acceptability that would be even wider. Right, everybody? So that was basically the purpose behind taking this title of the Dharma Prachar Bandhu, right? And this title provided the complete authority of the Brahmanical supremacy to the rule of Samudragupta. Okay, now, all right. Now moving further, Amit Bhaskar, I will be providing you certain details at the end of the class, or at the comment section. Also, you can find the link that would be mentioned after the class is over. Okay, now here let me tell you that there are some more titles like Chandragupta. Okay, Chandragupta, he took the title, Vikramaditya. Then Sakari is basically also written as Shakari. Shakari here, what is the meaning? Shaka or Saka plus Ari, right? Ari means what? The enemy. And the enemy of the Shakas, basically Shakari. Okay. Apart from that, Devgupta. Devshri, Devraj. Guys, divinity of the ruler, that was an essential part during the Gupta period. Param Bhagavat, Narendra, Chandra Singh, right, Narendra Chandra and Singh Vikram. Narendra Chandra and Singh Vikram. Narendra Chandra means the one who is like a moon among the one who is like a moon among the man, right? Or the one who is like the king among all the men, Narendra. Or Singh Vikram. You know what? R.S. Sharma, he presents a very beautiful discourse about the nature of the titles of the Gupta rulers. He tells us that Samudragupta has taken a title. Samudragupta has taken a title called as Vyaghra Parakrama. Called as Vyaghra Parakrama. Okay. This is the title taken by Samudragupta. And Chandragupta II has taken a title called as, right, he has taken a title called as Singh Vikram. Called as Singh Vikram. Okay, Singh Vikram. This indicates the meaning that as brave as a lion, as brave as a lion. And here it tells us the meaning that as brave as a tiger, as a tiger. Now look at the inference that is taken by, look at the inference which is derived from these two titles. Probably Samudragupta had ruled over such areas where the lions might not be present in the natural forest regions, and the tiger was the bravest and mightiest animal in that type of forest. This is why it is evidently clear that Samudragupta had probably no control over the areas of the western India, and this is why it is implied that the Malwa region, Gujarat region, that area was not under control of Samudragupta. Why? Because Samudragupta was not aware about the presence of lions in his vicinity or his kingdom's forests. Whereas Chandragupta, he captured the Malwa and Gujarat region, and probably he was aware of the presence of the lions, and he saw their might as the most strong animal. That's why he took the title of this, right? However, the further historians, they have discarded this inference of R.S. Sharma, and they have given the argument that even the Pallava rulers will also be taking the titles like the Narasimhavarman, right? Narasimhavarman will be the one. So taking the title, equating somebody or power of someone with the lion, that has been a very ancient tradition in our historical context. That is why we cannot conclude decisively without having any other secondary evidence that Chandragupta II ruled over the Malwa or Gujarat and Samudragupta had no control over Malwa or Gujarat. Okay, so this is how we should approach. We don't have to cram these titles, blindly, that this ruler took that title. Not necessary. We have to understand the meaning also. Now talking about the early Guptas, so how do we know about the Sri Gupta, right? How do we know about Sri Gupta? The problem is that Sri Gupta does not find any direct mention. Okay, Mintu Singh ji, very good evening. Does not find any direct mention, but there is a copper plate inscription called as Pune copper plate inscription by Prabhavati Gupta, and Prabhavati Gupta's Pune copper plate inscription describes Sri Gupta as Adhiraj. Adhiraj means the initial, right, the initial doyen or initial establisher of this dynasty. Okay, so Adhiraj is the the original founder or the actual founder, that was Shri Gupta. Now, who is this Prabhavati? Who is this Prabhavati? Prabhavati was a daughter of Chandragupta II, the Vikramaditya. Okay. So there is also the mention of Ghatotkach. Ghatotkach was the next to follow Shri Gupta, and both of them had the title of Maharaj, as we saw in the table itself. There is the description given in the Riddhapura copper plate, where it talks about the Shri Gupta who belonged to the Dharan Gotra. Dharan Gotra. Now this Dharan Gotra, guys, let me tell you, Dharan Gotra, that was basically the Gotra connected or associated with the Vaishya community, right? Vaishya community, remember that. This is why it is believed by the ancient historians that most probably the Gupta rulers were the Vaishya in origin. However, when we talk about Chandragupta first, he was the one who had changed this narrative by establishing a matrimonial relation with the most ancient family, most ancient Kshatriya family of his time, that was the royal family of the Lichvis in the Vaishali region of Bihar. Okay, everyone. So he was the ruler of the consecrated, ruler of the most significance in the Gupta dynasty, and he married a Lichvi princess named Kumar Devi, due to which he gained prestige, social acceptance. Remember the point that whenever any ruler who belongs to the mediocre or humble origin, who does not belong to the Kshatriya dynasty, these type of rulers, they need to take the acceptability challenges, for which sometimes they perform the yajna sacrifices, etc. Sometimes they perform the enormous Rajyabhishek function or the coronation function. Sometimes they take the huge sounding titles which try to assert their authority amongst the masses. Okay, these are all the steps taken by the rulers of that period. And this type of practice will be continuing even in the medieval period. We will cover the medieval history after we are going to make this complete, right? After we are going to complete the ancient part, we will cover the medieval, or we should be doing art and culture. There also we will be covering all these things. Now, his rule remained confined to the Magad and parts of eastern Uttar Pradesh, that is nearby Saket and Prayag, which means most probably in the Awadh area, in the Bhojpuri speaking region, and in the Bihar western part nearby Patliputra and Munger, etc. Not Munger, sorry, Patliputra and Saran, these areas nearby Mughal Sarai in Uttar Pradesh, or similarly the areas of Chota Nagpur, the western parts of Bihar like Kaimur, etc. These parts, they became the under the control of Chandragupta first. Now moving further, he actually became the first Gupta ruler who issued the gold coins called as dinars during his coronation ceremony. Shri Gupta was the feudatory of the Kushan Empire. Is it true or not? It is not true. It is not true, Paras. Shri Gupta was the successor of the feudatories of the Kushanas, because somebody who might be the feudatory was not exactly Shri Gupta, because Shri Gupta ruled around 275 CE, and the Kushana rule had perished to exist around 250 CE. Okay, so this was the end of the Kushana rule in the Gangetic Valley, and he was ruling in the Gangetic Valley since around 275 CE. Alright, everyone. Now talking about Samudragupta, the next most important ruler, who is famous for his imperial conquest, imperial expansion, as described in the Allahabad pillar inscription written by Hari Sen, the minister of Samudragupta. So Samudragupta, he succeeded Chandragupta first. He succeeded Chandragupta first and probably became the first ruler. In the Gupta dynasty who had to face the challenge of another contender for the throne. What was the name? The name of the contender was Kacha or simply Kach. Okay, Kach was the name, right? Kach was the name of the contender who was defeated by Samudragupta, who was just like an obscure prince, not very famous. But Samudragupta became the greatest warrior in this dynasty, who would be leading the victorious conquests all over the country, and his conquests are known from a lengthy eulogy composed by the court poet Hari Sen, which is inscribed on the Ashokan pillar of Allahabad. Let me tell you one very important thing. How many of you are aware that what is the narration style of Hari Sen's eulogy in the praise of Samudragupta called as? What is the name? Guys, remember this point. The style of poetry used by Hari Sen to praise Samudragupta, that is called as Champu Kavya. Remember this name, okay? Champu Kavya. This will be a very important narration style which will be now onwards repeated by the different scholars in the praising of their patron, their master. Okay. Similarly, we will see that Champu Kavya style will be used by another famous court poet whose name was Ravi Kirti, and he would be writing the similar type of appraisive literature for his master Pulkeshin II. That is an information which would be coming up in the subsequent lectures. Champu here means the appeasing. Champu means appeasing. Okay. Also, the name Champu suggested the specific type of presentation of the verses, the specific configuration of the verses, that is also known as Champu, right? So this is basically the style that was adopted by Hari Sen in his inscription in the favor of Samudragupta. However, this account contains a long list of the states, kings and tribes which were conquered by Samudragupta. And remember one point, this list can be divided into 4 different categories. How many categories? 4 different categories, right? However, sometimes we get to see the 5 different categories, but I am excluding the 5th category of the Kushanas and all, because that is simply immaterial, not very important. The first category, 12 state of the Dakshinapath. Okay, each and every state is mentioned, the name of their king is mentioned, and it is also mentioned that these rulers were defeated, captured and liberated on the one condition that they will be paying the annual tribute to Samudragupta. Just look at the name: Kosal, Mahakantara, Kaurat, Pishtapura, Kottura, then Erandapalli, Kanchi, Avamukta, Vengi, Palakka and Devarashtra and Kustalpura. Right. Now, when I am saying Kosal, some of you might be confused that, sir, we have studied that Kosal is in Uttar Pradesh. Guys, remember, if anybody among you is from Chhattisgarh, Chhattisgarh is also popularly called as Dakshin Kosal. Okay, Dakshin Kosal. So basically, Chhattisgarh is called Dakshin Kosal, and the area which is adjoining Chhattisgarh, which is adjoining Chhattisgarh, that is called as Mahakosal in Madhya Pradesh. So we have got, okay everyone, we have got the triangle of Kosal, okay, the triangle of Kosal. Here in UP we have the Kosal, in MP we have the Mahakosal, in Chhattisgarh we have the Dakshin Kosal. So this is basically the area from Kosal to Dakshin Kosal, it is mentioned. Now there are few questions like, what is the main important thing given in the Allahabad inscription? In one line, Amit, you can say the most important thing given in the Allahabad inscription about, that is about the victorious conquests and military successes of Samudragupta. That is very simple in one line. Now the detail of those military victories, that is what I am discussing here. Then Amandeep Kaur has a question that who expanded the empire to the eastward, Chandragupta II or Samudragupta? Actually, when it comes to the expansion of the empire eastwards, this map will give you a clear understanding, right? Okay, this map will give you a clear understanding here. You can see very clearly this entire region was, right, it was the original kingdom which was later on expanded by Samudragupta, who conquered the entire Himalayan foothills, beginning from Punjab and up to the Bengal area, right? So that is why the answer will be Samudragupta. Okay everyone, this entire area will be conquered by Samudragupta. So here let me tell you one thing. The second category, that included the 8 kings of the Aryavarta who were voluntarily exterminated, and they were exterminated as well as merged into their kingdoms. Samudragupta defeated those rulers who were located in the nearby areas and probably in the alluvial plain zones. Now remember one point, Samudragupta was attacking these areas, expanding his kingdoms because he wanted to expand his empire. He was aware that the expansion of empire will be directly proportional to the production and production of the agricultural products and the growth in trade and business. Remember that point in the previous lecture? So here I can tell you that this is why Samudragupta was interested in annexing those parts which were located nearby, because they were easier to administer, as well as they were more fertile, more productive for the agricultural purpose, more fertile and productive than the remote kingdoms located here, right? This is why Samudragupta will not capture these areas. Samudragupta will simply defeated them and returned their kingdom, returned their kingdoms in exchange of the annual tribute, okay. What is the annual tribute? The annual payment, annual share of the revenue that was paid to Samudragupta. So without taking the responsibility of administering this area, he simply started collecting the annual payment from these rulers, which definitely benefited his kingdom. Third category consists of the rulers of the forest states called as the Atavi Rajyas, who were reduced to servitude, and the chief of the 5 border states and tribal republics, they were forced to pay the annual revenue. Okay everyone. So he also attacked the central India, also captured the central region where predominantly forest areas were located, and Samudragupta, he defeated the tribal kings, forest rulers, and once again he did not want to involve into the administration of these knave states, comparatively backward states. So he simply did one thing, defeated those rulers, returned their kingdoms, and demanded the favor of the taxes paid annually to Samudragupta. Not only that, when I am talking about these kingdoms, these 5 border states included Samtata, that is southeastern Bengal, Kamrupa, that is Assam, Nepala, that is Nepal, Devaka, that is lower Assam, and Kartipura, that is Kashmir region. He actually reached to those areas. Okay, those areas. Not only that, the tribal republics which he invaded, those names are mentioned as Malav, Yaudheya, Madrak, Abhira, Parjuna, then Arjunayan and Sarakinaka, okay, and Kavas and Kharparikas. Guys, in the UPSC's examination, probably 2017 question paper it was, when they had asked about Arjunayan and Yaudheyas and Malav. Where are these places located in the map of India? So when you see the map of India, basically Yaudhe, okay, Yaudhe, or let me just change the color of the ink so that it is visible to all of you. Just a second. Okay. So Yaudhe, Malav, okay, Arjunayan, right, Arjunayan. Guys, these areas are located in the western foothills of the Himalayas, in the western foothills of the Himalayas. Okay, so nearby the areas of modern Haryana, modern Punjab, modern Himachal, southern Himachal of course, not the proper Himachal. So in the nearby areas of the Punjab, Haryana and the adjoining areas of Himachal, Uttarakhand, etc., or the western UP, etc., these areas, they were the location of these relatively not so famous kingdoms, right? Relatively not so famous kingdoms which included Arjunayan, Malav, Yaudhe, Madrak. And where was this Abhira kingdom located, everybody? When I am talking about the Abhira kingdom, so Abhiras were located in the central and upper Deccan Okay. Then Prarjuna, right? Prarjuna and Kavas and Kharparikas, these were located in the upper Deccan. That means the modern areas of Vidarbha, Chhattisgarh, etc., etc. These areas were ruled by the tribal kings. Got it, everyone? So basically, Samudragupta did not spare anybody. He invaded probably each and every available dynasty in that time period. The fourth category consisted of the Daivaputra Shahi Shanu, right? Shahi Shanu Shahi. What is the meaning of this term? Shahi Shanu Shahi. Guys, if you remember the title of the Kushanas, what was the title of the Kushanas? Shah-o-ne Shah. Remember that? Shah-o-ne Shah mentioned on their coins, which means that they were still taking the same title, but now that title was useless because the Kushanas were ruling in the small areas, Hindu Kush Valley, Kabul Valley, okay, Khurram region, that small area, these areas were under the control of Kushanas. Then Murundas, okay, Murundas were basically a later branch of the Shakas who were ruling in the northwestern parts of the country after the repeal of Kushanas from that area. According to Harisen, even the ruler of Sri Lanka also accepted the suzerainty of Samudragupta, and even he paid the annual taxes to Samudragupta. So we can say that Harisen did not leave a single ruler in his description as the victim of the might and wrath of Samudragupta as a unparalleled warrior in the ancient history. Remember that. Okay. Now, when I am talking about descriptions about Samudragupta, remember that Samudragupta was also described as probably the Napoleon of India by Vincent Arthur Smith, V.A. Smith. But this comparison does not make any sense. Why so? It is because Napoleon Bonaparte was a modern ruler. He had defeats as well. We have the crystal clear record of Napoleon, but we don't know the exact truth about Samudragupta, because it was very obvious that somebody who was living in his court, who was working as his minister, he must not write anything bad about his own master, because that is why we cannot believe. Can you think that any person's character should be decided upon the basis of the description given by his or her mother? Because mother will always say the great things about their children, about her children, right? Similarly, the servant will always try to praise his master, like Harisena was doing. Now there are few questions that how Samudragupta was managing his administration. Amit Bhaskarji, administration part, that we will be covering up in the next lecture. Here we are simply covering up the political description of the rulers. Paras is saying that I have a question that during Gupta rule, why Magad became the center of political power? Because after that empire, when Harsha came, the political center was Kannauj. Let me clarify this, Paras, that even when we talk about Samudragupta or the Chandragupta II or any subsequent ruler, from the rule of Chandragupta II, Pataliputra will start losing the significance as the center of political activity or as the center of the civilization in the northern India. The Ujjain will acquire that importance, and very soon, due to the geopolitical advantages, due to the location in the Gangetic plains, and due to the support in the quicker movement of the army because of the flat plains and no flooding in that area, Kannauj will become the most crucial pinpoint of the northern Indian territory as well as empires. This is why initially Pataliputra will be important, then Ujjain will be important, and then finally till the end of the ancient period, the Kannauj will be the most important city in India, particularly northern India. Samudragupta, he also performed Ashwamedha sacrifices. Remember that. However, he fully maintained the tradition of the religious tolerance, which means that even though he was doing the animal sacrifice, doing the Ashwamedha sacrifice, etc., but at the same time, he also allowed Meghvarman, who was the ruler of Sri Lanka, Samudragupta allowed and granted permission to build a Buddhist monastery at Bodh Gaya. Now, this is given as a description by Chinese sources. Chinese, stories, they tell the story like that. Now, the point is here that was Samudragupta only a warrior? Was he not a courteous ruler? Was he not a capable person or a person of art and literature? Definitely he was. Definitely he was a person of art and literature as well. You can see his coins. Which are describing him sitting in the folded leg position and playing the veena. Okay. So this is basically the veena instrument, that is a musical instrument, and it was very unlikely to expect from a warrior of his might, of his capability to play a veena. In the Indian narration, in the Indian narrative texts, we have Ravan was a very great player of veena. We might have heard that, isn't it? But that is a narrative text. However, in the historical text, if we are seeing, Samudragupta was probably one of the great vocalists, one of the great lyricists, as well as also the great instrumentalist and all that. I am not saying that. This was claimed by Harisena. Harisena calls him as Kaviraj. he writes excellent poetries, right? Picturizes him in the playing veena position, so excellent instrumentalist. So when a person is writing the lyrics, playing the instruments, so naturally he might be a singer as well. Got it, everyone? Now, moving further, Chandragupta II, probably the greatest ruler in the Gupta dynasty. Okay, so why is he called as the greatest? What is the reason behind him being called as the greatest? Did he achieve something extraordinary, or did he make some extraordinary contribution to the Indian economy, society, polity, culture? The answer is definitely yes. Remember that for any ruler who is called as a great ruler, there are 2 to 3 components which decide his greatness. The first component, that how big was his empire, that means the military success is the first component. The second component, that is his cultural accomplishments, that is how greatly the cultural and trade etc. Were flourishing during his reign, during his period of the rule. So we can say that first is the military success, second is the socio-economic achievements. The third characteristic or the third criteria, I would say, that is the impact in the upcoming time period. How great the impact of any ruler would be in the upcoming period, that determines the greatness of that ruler. Do you all remember Sher Shah Suri from the medieval history of India? Right, everyone? All of you might have heard the name of Sher Shah Suri. He ruled only for 5 years. Okay, he ruled only for 5 years. But at the same time, he was able to influence the subsequent policies in the upcoming time period in that brief stint of 5 years. That is why he is regarded as a very powerful and impactful ruler. Now, Amit Bhaskar ji, economic life, social life and political administration etc., that will be covered in the tomorrow's lecture, as I told you, right? So you have to join that tomorrow 4 p.m. once again. In that we will be discussing in the live lecture we will be discussing about the administration, economy, position of women, literature and other details about the Gupta period. Okay, everyone. Chandragupta II, the very famous Chandragupta II, also known as Chandragupta Vikramaditya sometimes, but historians are little bit confused that which is the correct sequence. Chandragupta, right? Chandragupta first, Samudragupta, right? Samudragupta, Chandragupta second, or either this is correct or this is correct. Okay. Ramagupta. Okay, Ramagupta. Now, who was this Ramagupta and from where did we get the evidence of this Ramagupta? There is a playwright. There is a playwright which is written by Vishakh Dutt. That playwright is called as Devi Chandraguptam. In that playwright there is a story. Called as the story of Dhruva Swamini. Story of Dhruva Swamini. Now Dhruva Swamini, she was a beautiful princess who was married to Ramagupta. Who was Ramagupta? He was the king of Gupta Dynasty. Okay, king of Gupta Dynasty. Now there was another king whose name was Rudrasimha III. Okay, Rudrasimha III. The Indian pronunciation will be Rudra Singh III. Okay, Rudra Singh III. Guys, do you remember the first Shaka ruler was right Argilysis, right? Or the first Shaka ruler in India, that was Meus or Moga. Meus or Moga. From that type of name to this type of name like Rudra Singh III. Okay, Rudra Singh. This Rudra Singh was basically a Shaka chief of the Malwa region who had a bad eye on the Ramagupta's wife Dhruv Devi, right, or Dhruv Swamini. Now when he suddenly invaded the kingdom of Ramagupta and Ramagupta was taken aback by surprise, he was on the verge of losing the battle and the kingdom. So there was a treaty proposed by Rudra Singha for Ramagupta's save. What was that treaty? That if you surrender your wife to Shakas, your kingdom will be spared. The coward Ramagupta, according to this literature piece, he agreed to surrender his wife to the enemy. This had enraged Chandragupta II very badly, and Chandragupta II, he actually took the advantage, took the trust of his sister-in-law, and simply he got his attires changed and got ready as in the appearance of Dhruv Devi, and reached to the camp of Shaka ruler, slayed him, defeated their army, and returned back to kill his own brother and married with Dhruv Devi herself. Okay, so remember that. This might be true, might not be true, because that is a story mentioned by a writer who would be little bit later on. Okay, so there is obviously the question mark on this story, but definitely there have been certain excavations of the coins, particularly the copper and silver coins which belong to the Ramagupta, and that have been excavated in Uttar Pradesh only. This is why we can say that probably this story was having some substance. Now the reign of Chandragupta II, it saw the high water mark for the Gupta Empire, probably the greatness of his policy, that he was not only a great warrior but also a great diplomat. He on the one side defeated the Shaka rulers, captured Malwa, acquired Gujarat area, reached to the coastal plains, coastal ports, and completely encouraged the trade and commerce for the Gupta Empire. At the same time, he also extended the limits of his kingdom by entering into the matrimonial alliances. For example, he entered into the matrimonial alliances with the princess of Naga family. Okay, Naga means not in the northeast. Nag dynasty was ruling in the Balaghat Nagpur area in the central India. Remember that. So the princess of central India, Kuber Naga, she got married to Chandragupta II. Apart from that, when I am talking about the another matrimonial alliance, it was the daughter of Chandragupta II, whose name was Prabhavati. Remember the name of Prabhavati, the copper plate inscription excavated at Pune by Prabhavati, right? So here Prabhavati, who was actually the daughter of Chandragupta by Kuber Naga, she got married to Rudrasena II, not Rudra Singh but Rudrasen, okay, who belonged to the Wakatak dynasty. And if you look at the map, clearly, you will understand that here is the location of the Wakataka dynasty, here is the location of the Naga dynasty, here is the location of the Pallavas. So practically Gupta became the masters of all these areas. So what can you conclude? You can conclude that in comparison to the Maurya dynasty, they did not they did not try that much hard, rather they used their brains, they used the diplomatic strategies. Therefore, they became much more prosperous and probably as large if not greater, as large in effect as the Mauryan Empire was. Right everyone? So here you can see that areas of Western Malwa, Gujarat, right, all these areas, they led to the growing prosperity during the rule of Guptas, and this particular coin is called as the horse rider type coin. Okay, the horse rider type coin. And guys, remember that this type of coin, these type of coins were issued by Samudragupta as well as Chandragupta himself. This one probably belongs to Chandragupta II, as he was having the title of the Ashwamedh Parakrama, right? Not only Samudragupta, but even Chandragupta also had this title. Okay, now this is the great pillar of, great iron pillar of Mehrauli, and this is famous for the metallurgists because till date it has not caught any rust. All right everyone, so these were certain accomplishments. Now when I am talking about the prosperity in the Chandragupta II's rule, remember that the prosperity was mainly due to the access to the coastal area of Gujarat, and therefore he was able to access the trade benefits with the Roman Empire by having the reach to the Gujarat coastal area. Also, Malwa was a very fertile place for the cotton production, and Malwa was also very useful for the production of silk as well as certain other handicrafts, particularly the specific type of pottery which was very shiny and used to be exported, that was also manufactured in the Malwa region. So overall, the addition of Malwa and Gujarat, it benefited very comprehensively to the already rich, already impactful Gupta Empire. This is why you will observe that during the period of Chandragupta II, there will be the huge prosperity, and this period will be also known as the golden era of ancient India. However, when we are talking about golden era, let me tell you one thing, that the maximum number of the gold coins, they were recovered, right, or they belonged to the period of Kumar Gupta, who would be the son of Chandragupta II. Right everyone? So it is like the very simple understanding that when the father works hard, the son enjoys the wealth. So Chandragupta and Samudragupta, these guys were expanding the empire, fighting the battles, entering the matrimonial alliances, doing the trade, capturing the prosperity, but the maximum number of the gold coins would be obtained during the Kumar Gupta, who would be the successor and son of Chandragupta II. Alright everyone, so these things we will be covering up in the next lecture tomorrow. In tomorrow's lecture, we will be studying about the economy, society and administration. Okay, economy, society, culture and administration of the Gupta age. So till then guys, make it sure that in case anybody among you who wants to join the foundation, right, that is the prelims to interview complete batch, right, prelims to interview complete batch in English, Hindi or Hinglish, they can simply download the application, select the course of their choice. Same is applicable for any person who wants to choose the optional subject. They can download the application of StudyIQ, choose the optional of their preferred choice. Whatever price is there, but you will be getting the best price to purchase that optional course or that P2I course when you are using my code ASR live as the discount code. So that will be reducing the cost of P2I to rupees 29,999. All right, everybody. So everybody must go and check the details on the application as well as on the link that is given in the description box, because one thing, I'm not just saying, by anything, but I am just saying it very, very sincerely, that the level of attention, the level of detailings as well as the level of guidance throughout your journey which will be provided to you in this particular batch, that will be unparalleled, right? That will be unparalleled. So that's all from my side. In case if you want the content of this particular class or any particular class which I usually upload on the weekends, right? Usually I upload the content of all the previous week in the weekends, right? So you can join my Telegram channel by scanning this QR code or by simply subscribing to this particular address. You can become the part of my Telegram group. Okay, everyone. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for watching it. Let's meet tomorrow. Do not forget to share this class if you liked it, and if you have not hit the like button and subscribe button, you can definitely do that. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Take care. Bye bye. Jai Hind.